Good day, everyone. I'm Alisa Marie Pasabos, and I've heard that you want to hear more about the Bataan and Corregidor. So here's the part 2 of A Legacy of Hero, the story of Bataan and Corregidor. A Legacy of Heroes, the story of Bataan and Corregidor Part 2. General MacArthur planned everything except for the civilians that are seeking for security. To prevent further civilian casualties and damage to properties, Manuel L. Quezon, the President of the Philippines Commonwealth, and his family, together with selected government staff, were evacuated to Corregidor along with MacArthur USAF headquarters. MacArthur declared Manila as an open city, and MacArthur proclamations was published in the newspaper and broadcast over the radio. The Japanese were not notified officially of the proclamations but learned of it through radio broadcasts and mapped the port area. After General Douglas MacArthur had withdrawn his army down the island of Luzon, Central Plain into the Bataan Peninsula, one last line existed before the Japanese invaders reached the main line of resistance. The American attempted to slow the Japanese entry into Bataan by fighting a delaying action at Layak, thus gaining time in deceiving the enemy as to the location of the main defensive positions. For the first time in World War II, American troops faces Japanese soldiers on the ground. The 20th 1st Division in Porac and the 70th 1st Division in Layak slowed down the advancement at Layak junctions. Sergeant Jose Calugas organized a volunteer squad to put a gun back in commission and fire effectively against the enemy. The first main line of defense stretched from Mauban to Abukay in the east. The western section was defended by the 1st Corps, while the eastern section was guarded by the 2nd Corps. The Japanese launched their main attack on the east side of the Abukay line, but despite of repeated attempts, they failed to break the 40th 1st Division with the commander General Vicente Lim. However, the western side of the Abukay lines couldn't stable, and they were forced to move back. The defenders regrew the second and final defense position, but again they suffered heavy losses. General Huma ordered to attack from the back of the lines. Jose Tando, a Philippines constabulary captain, crawled to the enemy bunker and threw a hand grenade, which effectively killed the Japanese machine gunner. Tando's heroic is known as the Battle of the Points. The remaining Japanese troops managed to get through while the second line was still being formed. American tanks were deployed to crush the enemy inside USAF lines, but the dense jungles made it virtually impossible to pinpoint the Japanese position. Igorot from the 11th Division came to the rescue and led the attacks. A lot of Japanese got killed in the coordinated actions and gradually wiped out the Japanese troops. It is called the Battle of the Pockets. With the Filipino-American victories in the Battle of the Point and the Battle of the Pockets, General Homa realized his worst nightmare. It was already mid-February in 1942 and the Bataan defenders was still holding their grounds. Japanese troops had suffered grievously. 2,275 men was killed in the action and 4,049 men was wounded. Other Japanese war machines have conquered Hong Kong, Wake Island, Guam, and Singapore. As this faced a high casualties rate and an inability to break use of defense in Bataan, General Homa decided to pull back and wait for reinforcement, which led to a launch of 45 days. I bet you still want something more about the story, but I'm sorry because this is all that I can share. But don't worry because there's more to come. Thank you.